Hi, welcome to The Fork. Today we are cooking, and we are cooking with steaks. So stay tuned and learn some great tips. So we are here with Dustin from Eat at State. He is the executive sous chef.
Correct.
Okay, and welcome to the show.
Yes, so I'm the executive sous chef at Shaw Hall, one of the dining halls at Michigan State University in River Trail neighborhood. Today we're going to do 15-minute steaks.
Okay.
Something quick, something easy. In this day and age, it can be a little expensive going out to eat at restaurants.
Yes.
So being able to do this at home is going to be something that you'd really want to try to hone your skills at. So right now we have these steaks, these beautiful New York strips.
Okay.
These were provided to me by the MSU Meat Lab. So that is the meat that is raised on campus and then processed in our Meat Lab facility. You can actually buy these steaks at the surplus store, or you can go online, get your information from there, and place an order through them.
That's good to know, and you can't get much more local than Michigan State.
Correct.
Right? So that's awesome. That's a
So
great tip.
we have our New York strips here. They've been dry brining for about an hour and setting at room temperature. We want to get it brought up to room temperature rather than pulling it right out of the fridge because we want our steaks to cook as quickly as possible. We don't want the middle too cold and the outside to burn. We want to get a good sear, but we don't want to overcook the exterior. Okay.
And you know, that's a great tip that you take it out of the refrigerator to brine it. I know a lot of people get worried about like leaving meat out, and they are like feel like you're getting contamination. But
1 hour
that's
at
not
room
the case.
temperature is perfectly fine. Dry brining it, you can let it season it liberally with salt and just let it sit in your refrigerator uncovered for anywhere to an hour to 8 hours is a good window for that.
Okay.
So we got our pan nice and hot here. We're going to get this heated up.
Okay. So do you always use a cast iron?
Yeah, so what I have here is I have a nice seasoned cast iron skillet, and we're going to use a decent amount of oil here.
And what kind of oil are you using?
We're just
today?
using a nice neutral oil like canola oil. You can also use grapeseed oil as well.
Okay. Ooh, love the sound of that. I'm wearing a black shirt today because I knew it was going to be sputtering out at.
Right.
So how long do you put these on the stove for?
So we're going to let these sear roughly about 3 minutes per side, depending on how hot we are. We are going to flip it a couple times.
Okay.
We want to achieve a nice crust,
Okay.
that Maillard reaction, get a nice sear on it. We're going to be butter basting today, so when we add butter, butter actually contains moisture in it. It will ruin that crust if we don't develop a good crust.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we get a nice sear first.
So that's why you didn't cook it initially in the butter.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, we're going to be cooking on really high heat, and then when we add our butter,
Okay.
we're going to be turning it down so that we don't burn the milk solids that are in the butter.
Right.
A lot of people will add their butter while it's still rip-roaring hot, and then the butter will burn, and it won't give you that good of flavor.
Okay, got it. Okay. And so talk to me a little bit about temperature of meat. What are we going to be cooking these steaks at? What's the temperature?
So I prefer to have a steak around medium rare to medium.
Okay.
So we're going to be cooking these to about 125 doneness,
Okay.
125 degrees Fahrenheit. We have our instant read thermometer here.
Okay.
And we're going to let it rest for about 10 minutes. And what that does is it allows the fibers of the meat to relax.
Okay.
And it'll actually reabsorb some of those juices. If we were to take this out right away and slice into it, the juices would all run out of the steak.
Okay.
This will make for a juicier product in the end.
So good to know. You let your meat rest so that the juices absorb back
Yep.
in.
And dry brining will also dry out the surface to help us achieve a better crust.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Through osmosis. So.
Now, I'm with somebody who likes their steak blue.
Yeah.
And I know people get very sensitive about their steak temperature. So do you have like any tips you can share on how to achieve like really good temperature control? Is it a timing thing? Do you do your probe with the thermometer? Is it by pushing on it? What's the best way?
Yeah, a lot of seasoned chefs, a lot of line cooks, they have a little trick of where they gently place their thumb and index finger together, and just by pressing right here, you can actually tell the difference between rare, medium, and medium well, or well done.
Okay.
Also, internal temperature is always key. We want to cook medium rare steaks are about 135, no more.
Okay.
Rare is about 125 to 130.
Okay.
Then medium 135 to 140, and then medium well done after that. So.
And is there a difference between ordering a steak that's blue versus rare?
Blue it's going to be cold in the middle. We're talking just a kiss of heat, and you're you got to really like raw meat for that.
Yeah,
so.
so those of you out there who like that, make sure you're ordering your steaks blue rather than rare, because there is a difference,
Right.
right? Okay.
So we've already flipped our steaks once.
Okay.
We're trying to just get a quick, good sear on the other side, which I already noticed. We're going to drop our heat down.
Okay.
Then we're going to add our aromatics here. We have some fresh thyme and rosemary.
Oh, awesome.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be tilting the pan to cool the fat. So it might want to spatter you.
I'm standing back.
Yep, we got some fresh thyme, rosemary, and some garlic cloves.
And so you
These
put this, you put it right in the whole stock and everything.
Yeah, so we're not going to be eating this. So we're just trying to extract the oils from it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can smell the oils already coming out of it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
it's pretty quick once we get to this point. So, a little smoky on that side. So we're going to just move that over here. A lot of it too is adjusting. So I put the butter right there on the hot spot.
Yeah.
I noticed how much smoke was kicking up. So
Okay.
knowing what your food is doing while you're cooking it allows you to save it in the long run.
Okay.
Right? So we're just trying to get this butter melted.
Wow, it smells really amazing.
But we don't want to take the pan off the heat source. We want to continue to cook still, right? So using a large metal spoon, these are my favorite kind of spoons, restaurant spoons, good for saucing and stuff. As that butter melts and all these flavors and stuff incorporate, this is your basting liquid, okay?
Okay.
So you can go ahead right in there and start.
And so as the heat is applied to the herbs, it's extracting the oil.
Correct.
Right? That's
and,
the
and
chemistry
same with the
of it.
garlic as well.
Okay. So you don't even have to crush the garlic, you just throw the cloves right in.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, are you going to eat the cloves later with it, or is it just going to get discarded?
You could strain out the liquid
Okay.
from this, separate the fat, make a sauce. What you want to
Okay.
do is you want to take all these, if you were to make a sauce, you would want to take all these ingredients out,
Okay.
deglaze the pan with like a red wine
Yep.
or whiskey, and add a little cream or reduce some butter down and finish it with some butter.
Okay.
Or like a nice beef demi-glace
Okay.
as well.
And tell me about why a skillet, cast iron skillet versus like maybe a Teflon pan or something like that.
So cast iron, very good question. A cast iron or a stainless steel pan gives you more of that, Teflon that non-stick surface doesn't give it a hard enough sear.
Got
So
it.
a nice seasoned cast iron will always behave almost as good as a non-stick pan.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Just make sure you take care of it. Look up, if you don't know how to season a cast iron pan, there's plenty of tutorials online. Just make sure you take care of it, that's all. Okay?
Yeah, I never grew up with cast iron, and when I first started dating my husband, he came home only to find that I was very proud, and I cleaned his seasoned cast iron skillet. And I said, look how clean I got it, and washed away all that seasoning. So,
All right.
good tip to know. Yeah, do not wash away your seasoning.
So we just temped our steaks. This is a very quick method,
Okay.
right about where I want to be.
Okay.
So we're going to pull these out of the fat, or the pan, and we're going to let them rest for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then at least 10 minutes, and then we're going to cut right into them and serve them up.
Okay. So when we come back, we're going to show you how to slice these on an angle, beautifully served, and we hope you come back and see us. Hi, today we are here with Andy, who is the meat department manager, and he is with Westlands Apple Market. So welcome in.
Thank you.
So when we're talking about steaks, can you tell me, like, what is the best steak to buy? What's the best cut?
It's really about preference when it comes to that. Most people prefer the ribeye and the New York strip, which we have here. Just
Okay.
due to the fat content on the inside and the marbling, which gives you a nice juicy flavor to the steak.
Right, we hear about marbling a lot because that's like the little fat strings that run through the meat. Okay. And how do you calculate, like if you're having a party, how do you calculate how much meat you should buy?
That typically they say about an 8-ounce steak, which is anywhere between a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch on the cut.
So 8 ounce per person.
8 ounce per person, about a ½ pound.
Okay, so ½ a pound per person. So that's a great tip for buying your meat. And so tell me, do you have special orders? Can you special order meats cuts?
We do special orders on, we can do any special order on anything that we carry. And during the holiday season, we also do the prime rib roast.
Yep,
We have
very
that.
popular.
And as long as we have a 24 to 48 hour notice, we shouldn't have any issue getting it out.
24 to 48 hours.
Yes.
So there you go. If you're at Westlands and you want it special order, 24 to 48 hours to get your meats in. Okay, that's good to know. And what types of things do people special order?
Typically, it's the roast if we have our homemade bratwurst that people like to do special orders on.
Okay.
Thicker cut steaks and pork chops and of that nature, and bigger, just things that we don't typically carry on the shelf.
Right, and I know that you guys have a really good assortment. I work out next door to their place, and I'm in there all the time. They have an amazing meat counter. I see you all the time, so it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for watching. So we are here with Chef Ben from Brody, and we're going to ask you a couple questions. So, like, what is on the menu? What would I find at Brody?
So Brody's one of the bigger halls on campus. So you're going to find an array of different cuisines throughout that venue. So we have a Cayenne, we have a Brimstone. Those have like burgers. Cayennes have tacos, kind of like a Qdoba type deal, where they make your taco or burrito right in front of you with the different toppings. We have a veg out station to cover any of those needs for dietary needs. We also have a home style for kind of the homey meals for the kids to come in or guests to come in and actually enjoy all those foods. We have a sandwich making station, like almost like a Subway. We have Chow, it's a pizza station, so we do pizzas there, which we're actually working on a custom pizza for that. And then we also have a boiling point where we do pasta to order.
So it sounds like you got a little bit of everything for everybody. So tell me, do you have any like great specialty items on your menu?
So we do. So this year we're going to start with a sushi bowl. So we're going to have sushi kind of made to order.
Okay.
So we're going to have different toppings,
That's
cold
awesome.
rice.
And it's super popular right now,
Yeah,
sushi.
so it should be a hit with that.
Do you ever get requests from students, and do they ever show up on the menu?
Yeah, so we get a lot of items that people want that either for their needs for gluten, allergy, or anything like that. So we try to balance out our menus to accommodate everybody, but we also have things that can be made on the spot in case somebody wants to come in and eat and have diet.
So you got
plans.
everybody covered. So
Absolutely.
tell me, where do I find the information on Brody menus?
So you'll find that at Eat at State. So if you go at Eat at State, you got the array of all the different dining halls where you can go and check out what they have on their menu.
Okay, so Eat at State. Thanks so much. Yeah. So we're back, and now we are joined by George from the, let me see if I get this right, Michigan Beef Industry Commission.
You got it.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So back at Bradley's, and you're going to be talking about your role and about cuts of steaks.
Yeah, thanks, Bradley. So the Michigan Beef Industry Commission is funded by farmers and ranchers.
Okay.
And so our role is to build demand for beef, but also help consumers feel confident preparing the steaks at home and beef meals at home. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about how we choose the right cut of beef for for whatever dish we're trying to prepare at home.
Okay.
So,
And I keep hearing Eric Copeland's
beef, it's what's for dinner.
Beef What's for Dinner in my head. So
Absolutely, yep. That's the brand funded by farmers and ranchers.
Got
So,
it. Okay,
absolutely.
awesome.
So,
So what do we have here today?
yeah, so we brought a couple examples of steaks.
Okay.
So what we have is a ribeye steak,
Okay.
a top round steak, and then we have some examples of the strip steak that
Yeah,
we're cooking here.
the strip steak that we cook. Yes,
Correct.
awesome.
Yep.
So tell me the difference on steaks. Like if I go to the store and I don't know much about meat,
Yeah.
tell me why the best preparation for these.
So it doesn't have to be intimidating.
Okay.
The important thing for people to do, first off, is to read the label.
Okay.
Because a side of beef is broken down into what we call primal cuts.
Okay.
Most of the steaks come from one of 4 primal cuts. So that's the chuck, the rib, the loin, or the round.
Okay.
Okay.
And
so
I think those are terms most people know.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's usually in the name of the cut.
Okay.
Okay, so like for instance, a strip steak or a top loin steak.
Okay.
Or obviously rib steak. Okay.
Okay.
And so, depending on where the steak comes from is going to dictate kind of the properties of it, whether it's more or less tender.
Okay.
And so, for instance, the chuck and the round, which is the shoulder or the hind leg, used for locomotion, not as tender as what we call the middle meats.
So those are more your stew meats, right? Like you're putting in crock pots, Sunday
Yes.
roast, that kind of thing? Is that?
Yeah, as a roast, absolutely. There are some diamonds in the rough that we could talk about too.
Okay.
So there's some cuts that come from the chuck that are really, really tender. For instance, a flat iron steak.
Yes.
But for the most part, your most tender cuts are going to come from the rib or the loin.
Okay.
Tenderloin, for instance, most tender cut on the animal.
Rib roast, or better known as prime rib. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Very.
Yep.
And then the other thing to think about is is the marbling. in the-
Yeah.
in the cut.
So that has marbling, right?
Absolutely. Those little specks of fat inside the muscle there.
Correct.
That's what contributes to the tenderness, the juiciness, that flavor, that beefy flavor. So
Okay.
my favorite cut is the ribeye.
Okay, so remember, marbling is not bad. I know sometimes people pick up their steaks and they're like, there's too much fat in this, and they don't want to buy it because you're not getting the beef, you're getting the fat part. But the marbling is really good. That's a good tip to know. So, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we like to say is, there's a steak for every occasion
Sure.
and every budget. Some people do prefer leaner cuts.
Okay.
And so a round steak is a great example
Okay.
for that. More lean. You can a good rule of thumb is if the steak comes from the round or from the loin,
Okay.
it's generally a lean
Leaner.
cut.
Okay,
Which is
great.
less than 10 grams of fat per 3-ounce serving.
Okay, great.
However, some of those leaner cuts aren't going to have that marbling, aren't going to have that inherent juiciness as
Right.
much as some of the middle meats.
Okay.
So maybe we want to use a marinade, like a tenderizing marinade, and that sort of, maybe like some lime juice,
Some more flavor, tenderizing it a little bit.
correct, some
Okay,
acidity,
got it.
that sort of thing.
Okay.
So the steaks, like I said, are going to, perform differently, give a
Sure.
different eating experience based on what proportion of the side of beef that they come from.
Okay. And are there a lot of dairy, or excuse me, not dairy, but is there a lot of beef cattle in Michigan?
There's about 1 million cattle
Wow.
in the state of Michigan.
That's impressive.
We do have a very strong dairy industry,
Yes.
so about 80% of our cows are dairy cows.
Okay.
But our cows, they enter the beef supply chain no matter whether they're dairy or beef.
Got it,
And
okay.
so that's stayed pretty constant for us.
And then there's
So-
also Black Angus, right? That's like top of
Yeah.
the line type of.
Well, so Angus is a breed.
Okay.
And I guess I wanted to chat a little bit about the brands. So
Okay.
you've heard Angus brand or
Yes.
Certified Angus, for instance. That is a brand of beef from a supplier.
Okay.
And so the grade that is accepted by that brand is choice or higher. So that's something we should talk about is the quality grade
Okay.
of the steaks. So this is actually a certified Angus beef rib steak.
Okay.
Angus genetics and upper 2/3 choice grade.
Okay.
So I failed to mention that, but the marbling dictates the grade. So the highest degree of marbling
Okay.
is what's graded prime. So we've
Okay.
seen that. The next slightly less is choice.
Okay.
And then if there's less, then it would typically be graded select.
Okay. So prime, choice,
and
select.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All
And
right. And prime is the best.
Prime is the highest degree of marbling and
Got it.
typically the most expensive.
Okay.
Yes. And then if it's, so if we're looking to economize a little bit, sometimes we can trade down in grade.
Okay.
Like maybe to a select. But we can, and again, that's maybe not going to have quite as much juiciness, but we
Okay.
can compensate for that with some, the addition of like some marinades and those kinds of techniques.
Okay. And are not all butchers, do they all cut their meats the same across the industry, or do they change from different?
Unfortunately, no. There's a lot of like regional names
Okay.
and differentiation that way.
Okay.
So sometimes you just have to ask the butcher.
Okay.
The other great resource that we have is beefitswhatsfordinner.com.
Yep.
And then our website from the Michigan Beef Industry Commission, mibeef.org.
Okay.
So you can go on there and search for the cuts or search for recipes based on a cut that you have, and it'll provide you with cooking recommendations and tips and how to
Okay.
handle that cut.
And do you recommend buying a cow or half a cow and then
Certainly,
doing it that way?
yeah,
or-
a lot of consumers are interested in that. What we call freezer beef,
Okay, freezer beef.
where you can buy a half or a quarter or a portion of a beef animal.
Okay.
Not everybody has enough freezer space for that.
Correct, yes.
And so we absolutely support any type of method. The nice thing about purchasing beef locally that way, you get to know your farmer,
Sure.
where it comes from, that kind of.
So we were talking briefly about freezer beef. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit
Yeah,
more?
absolutely. So the freezer beef is a term we use in general for consumers that when they buy beef directly from the farm,
Okay.
and buy a portion of the beef animal, usually in a half or a quarter
Okay.
of that side. And so we have some great resources available for consumers at mibeef.org.
Okay.
that will help them understand like what to expect when you buy a side of beef or a half. And then kind of walk them through the process of providing cutting instructions, what type of freezer space you need to expect to store that beef properly once you get it home.
And I'm assuming, depending on the portion of the beef, some of it might be more expensive because it's going to have more of the prime cuts.
Well, the nice thing about buying beef on a side or a quarter like that is that you're getting a portion of the entire animal.
Okay.
And so you don't generally select certain specific cuts. You get some
Okay.
of everything.
So a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's a really great value way to economize.
Okay. I do know somebody who took her whole half side of beef and had it made into ground round. I think that's a no-no, right?
Well, there's a consumer for every type, every cut, and if they really like ground beef, that's fantastic. But there's lots of other ways to utilize that, those steak options.
Because then you're missing out on some of your prime cuts.
Exactly,
Then. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And then we're joined back, and we're going to slice those open because they've been resting for 10 minutes.
Yep, so these have been resting for at least 10 minutes is what we want it to do. The steak is still hot, it's still warm. And what that does is by letting the steaks rest properly, like I was saying before, it allows for the juices, the fibers of the meat to relax
Okay.
and then rest and absorb the juices that come back out.
Okay.
If I was to slice this right away,
It would all squirt out.
it would all run around across the cutting board and it won't be as juicy. By doing this, we're ensuring that the moisture is being reabsorbed into the meat.
And that helps it make it more tender, right? And more flavorful?
More juicy, yeah,
Okay.
and by cooking it as hot as we did and as quickly as we did,
Okay.
the steak and the nature of the cut of the meat will make it tender enough as it is.
And then is this how you would serve it at the Eat at State? Would you have it
Well,
pre-sliced?
we don't really serve New York strips in the dining hall,
Okay.
as I'm just fumbling all over the steaks. We do serve a lot of cuts, like the more cost-effective cuts, like flank steak, because we are serving so many customers.
Okay.
But we do like a nice marinated flank steak, like he was talking about before. There's a cut of meat for every person,
Okay.
right? For
And you know,
every consumer.
it seems like nowadays with your better restaurants, they are starting to cut these, like, is it called bias cut? Do they call that?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm cutting it at an angle here. This helps make sure that the steak is nice and tender. You want to cut against the grain. That's more your tougher cuts. With steak, you don't really need to worry about that too much.
Okay.
We left a little bit of the thyme on there to give it kind of that flavor. As you can hear as I'm cutting this, we got a nice crust on
Yeah,
that sear.
yeah, I
So at
hear
least we
that.
know that we did it properly this time. And I'm just going
And
to...
then cutting it on the bias cut also gives you the opportunity to do some really beautiful plating.
Correct.
And I know a lot of people today are really into like their garnishes, and you're going to be putting some salt on the top. Here we sell all kinds of salts. We have different sea salts from all over the world at Bradley's, and so a nice finishing salt. It's not just adding salt, but it's also getting you texture, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Nice little flaky piece of sea salt, a nice little crunch with that juicy, soft meat. It's going to really light your palate up.
Right. Okay, and that looks amazing. And so you could garnish this in any number of ways, correct?
Yep, you can finish the sauce on top with your pan sauce like we talked earlier. You could use some of the fresh herbs like we did, rosemary, thyme, to garnish the sides as well.
Or you could throw some of those,
Or some grilled bread.
some of
or
that
crusted
garlic
bread.
back on there, right?
Correct.
And kind of mash it up with some bread or something? Okay. Very nice. Well, it's beautiful. And thank you both for joining us today. So appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me,
Yep.
Bradley.
Thanks for watching. When at home cooking, keep your onion skins, your garlic peel, carrot, and your celery stalks. Throw those in a Ziploc bag, freeze them, and when the bag is full, boil it down for homemade stock.
To learn more, visit forksUpLansing.com.
Hi, we are here today with Leon, and he is from Pretoria Homes, and we're just going to ask a couple questions. So what I want to know is about ventilation, like why the need for kitchen ventilation?
Kitchen ventilation is really important because it helps remove any smoke, moisture, and overall prevents you from having things like mold. The last thing that you want is mold issues in your kitchen, because once you get mold, then it starts leading to other issues.
So tell me, when you're doing a kitchen remodel, are there multiple options for ventilation, or is it all standard?
Yes, so there are two main options. One of the options that we mainly recommend is the ducted system, which is pretty much vents the air outside. And then you have the cheaper option, which is the ductless option, which is pretty much recirculating air. It just cleans the air and shoots it back out in the kitchen.
And so one option is less expensive than the other?
Yes.
Okay, because
So-
one ventilates outside and one recirculates air?
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and is there always, are they always both applicable in a kitchen remodel?
So
or-
typically, if you're doing like new construction, then I would highly recommend that you do ducted, because the walls are already exposed and you want to shoot the air right outside.
Got it.
But if you're doing a new remodel where you're changing the layout, then the ductless option might be the way to go, especially if you're changing the layout and you don't want to spend the extra.
And does size and placement of ventilation matter in the kitchen remodel?
Yes, typically we usually recommend that the hood is about the same size as the range, and you also want to make sure that you place it high enough but not too high.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching, and hope to catch you next time. So today we are here at Bradley's HG, and we are talking copper pots. And I have with me the general manager of Bradley's HG, and that is Lori Hurst. Welcome.
Welcome. Hey, hi.
Hi. So you have all these amazing pots and made out of copper, and so what's the name of these? What's the brand of these pots?
So we buy these from Certato Copper, and they're a wonderful company. They make them out of 100% recycled copper in Mexico and
Texas?
Texas, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
Texas.
Yep, and they come to us perfectly wrapped. They're a wonderful company. You have any problems, they take care of it. They're great to cook in.
And I noticed that like the handle is pretty innovative. Like you can put your spoon and use it as a rest. And then earlier you were showing me how the lids go onto the handles.
Oh, yeah.
And also like
On the
this
side.
on the side. So that's pretty innovative. I know that like there are some other brands out there that are very famous, but they don't have this really cool handle. And the other thing that I thought was interesting that you told me about was because the handles are open, it doesn't conduct as much heat, so it keeps it a little bit cooler to the touch.
Exactly, yeah. And I think they are actually better looking than some of the other ones that collect more dirt and, start
Yeah.
looking really tarnished and nasty after a little while. But these just seem to stay very nice.
Yeah, they have a cleaner look to them. I know a lot of the other ones are brass. Again, it's going to create a lot
Yeah.
more heat, but it has more of a traditional look to it. And then I don't know if people know about this, but copper is an amazing cooking instrument. It gets really hot really fast. So, but thanks so much for watching. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned some great tips to use in your own kitchen. We'll see you next week.
Frustrated with contractors who overcompromise and underdeliver? We understand you want a remodel that's on time, on budget, and on point with your vision. At Pretoria Homes, we deliver true craftsmanship, clear communication, and high-end design without the hassle. We take the time to meet with you, listen carefully, and create a tailored plan that fits your needs and style. Let's build your dream space together. Real work, real timelines, real results. Call us or visit PretoriaHomes.com to get started today.